Hamlet had once said, there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Let's talk about everything else on heaven and earth. I want to ask you the most difficult question, I guess, or maybe the easiest. The biggest question of all, about meaning and about purpose. What is the meaning of life, Grand Priest?
This may be one of those questions where you really have to sort of start worrying about what you're asking about when you ask about the meaning of life. I taught a course last semester on an old book by Tom Nagel called The View from Nowhere. And it's a very interesting chapter, last chapter of that book, about this question. And I think he gets something absolutely right. In fact, I mean, I want to write a paper about it when I get the time. But what he argues is that from a cosmic perspective, nothing has any meaning. So, I have no religion. I believe that in the end, the physical cosmos will keep on expanding forever and end with a density so close to zero that it makes no difference. From that point of view, anything that's happened before is irrelevant. There'll be no sentience, no one to remember anything. So objectively speaking, from this third-person perspective, supposing you're sort of fly on the wall watching this whole process, life has no meaning. Now, of course, you cannot live like that. So from the subjective perspective, things are important. And it's important that you figure out what's important. You couldn't live otherwise. In the end, you probably figure out what's important for yourself. I mean, for me, doing philosophy is important. I'd like to leave the world a better place than I find it. That's important. My relationships with those close to me, my wife, my students, my kids, is important to me. So those are the things I value. Those are the things which motivate me to act on a day-to-day basis. So that's, for me, that's the meaning of life. Now, I've said objectively there's no meaning. Subjectively, there is a meaning. And you might say, well, okay, there's just two meanings of meaning of life, an objective meaning and a subjective meaning. And so, you've given them different answers. Where that gets really interesting is that the world does not fall neatly apart into these two things. And there's a sense in which the objective and the subjective interact and engage with each other. That's one of the fascinating things of Nagel's book, that you can't have one without the other. You can't have the objective view because I look at the objective view from my subjective position. Okay. And you can't have a merely subjective view because I'm an object in this third-person perspective. So the first-person view and the third-person view are deeply entangled. So you can't say, well, objectively it's this, subjectively it's that, because they engage with each other in a certain way. And I'm inclined to say the world is contradictory in that way. The world must be both subjective and objective at the same time. And is that a contradiction? Yes. So that's what I want to write about when I get the time. And I'm sorry, you wanted a nice, simple answer, and I've given you something absolutely horrendous.